Fun now. All right. So, thank you. All your questions very valid. I'll take the very last one, which is what can we do to make sure that we're connecting with the grassroots? Because at the end of the day, even when we make all these lofty policies, like Dr. Zibi also said, if you do not put the end users, which are the what people you find in the grassroots, it doesn't hold water because the paper will be so different from the actual realities, and what you realize is that we just have paper policies that are never effective. I want to first start by saying that I walked into one of the um, offices in the House of Rep. No, not House of Rep. What's the one for Lagos State? House of Assembly, and I did see on their wall one of the roles, one of the things that they're supposed to be focusing on is also special needs. Inclusion is one of the goals. So if it is already there, then that means that there's a policy on paper that's supposed to address it. But then if, like you said, people that are the end users don't even know what it. No, I'm gonna get there. So if people who are the end users don't even know what it is that they are supposed to, fight for, ask for, or demand from these people in authority, then again there's that void. And just as you mentioned and reminded me, talk about what you did. That was one of the things that drove me to go right back to the grassroots and try to connect. So about 2 years ago, I partnered with two local governments. One, again, I started with Charity Begins at Home. So I started with my own local government. And what I did was we did a lot of awareness campaign within the community. And I'm talking about marketplaces. We went into the market, spoke with the market women, spoke with the public schools, spoke with the churches and the mosque around, and even went from streets to streets canvassing. We spoke with the PRC, primary health care centers there, and after that we did set up some sort of partnership whereby we have some of these people have facilitators come work with them on a group basis, and that has been effective. We've been able to record. Some mothers will come out and say, I mean, I remember when we had a public what's that thing that they do, this town hall meeting. Yeah, sorry, I'm forgetting all the terms. So they had a town hall meeting, and a mother actually with a child that is, I think, a son is 30 something, and for the longest time, he roams up and down the streets. They've condemned him to, all sorts. And she came out crying and saying, now she understands what a child has. That a child is not an imbecile. That's a word, not my word. I would never use that. And she was very, you could see the light bulb moment in her head, because for her, she has struggled so much and did not just, in fact, she said, I will go home now and I will look at my child differently. And for that, I mean, that's what you're talking about. I remember that we scaled it up again when earlier this year, was it this year or last? It was this year. We did a training for the airport, Murtala Mohammed Airport. And what started off that conversation for me was because we were passing through the airport, and that normally I do not have any issues at the airport, but that particular day, I think their systems were down, and so we had to wait. And so I had to experience what it was like to wait. And at some point, my son was going to sit down on a chair. There was nobody sitting on that chair. And I kid you not, the guy ran from one end, screaming, get up, and I was like, but what I realized was even when all of us were trying to talk to him and make him understand, he did not understand anything. All he saw was a, a child that looked like it was okay, nothing is wrong with him, why must he be sitting? Or why must he be giving any other, and then he kept on talking about you're misusing your power, you're this. And because again, for me, when things like that happen, what I do is I take myself out of I try to see it from that person's, and what is this person saying that is propelling his action? And what I could see was it was his ignorance and his unwillingness to let go of his perception. And so I wrote to the management and said, I would like to do a sensitization training for your staff. My child has experienced this, but I can bet it that a lot of children have passed through this and experienced this for so long that, but when they don't know who to direct their attention or grievance or whatever to, and at that training, you'll be amazed with the sort of, when we gave the opportunity for the people that sat down to talk about their experience, not everybody had actually had an experience with a child of on the spectrum. And most times, in fact, they even told me about one that broke my heart. They dragged the child out because the guy said he's so sorry, he did not think that that was the right thing to do. But again, can you blame him? That's what he knew. And then all of the other authorities must have gingered him to do what he did. So for me, I was like, there needs to be more awareness, more training, and that's the reason why, if you keep hearing what Dr. Wokolo is saying, she keeps emphasizing we need to come into these spaces and train you to understand, even if it is just the desensitization, or just give you the basic knowledge of what is right and what is wrong, what is a myth and what is not a myth. So that when you are talking, when you are interacting, that empathy would flow naturally. It won't be forced because you already know what it is that you're supposed to be doing in a space like that. And then I can give you so many other examples of how we have gone into those different spaces to make a difference. But just let's leave it that way. She wants to add to it.
So when you talk of grassroots, I mean, it's the same thing. I said Zusi was in Ikorodu the other day, talking, doing pre-assessments. We've done that. But tying it into government, okay? After there are 6 districts for Subeb and 6 for the other one. So we've gone in as Shades of Life Foundation to do the sensitization for school counselors and all the way. The places that have gone to Lagos, we thank God. Now, what other step have we taken? We've moved to Abia State because first of all, you have to understand that you need to work with or partner with people who also realize that you're giving of yourself in exchange for nothing, just like GTB is doing. Okay, you're giving for nothing. So who asked about the barrier? One of those barriers is that people expect us to pay them to come and deliver my expertise. I mean, so that's one. Now we've moved into Abia State. We've sensitized them, and we're going back to Abia State now to start training the school and public health. People may wonder why Abia. All of us are in Nigeria, Abi. We see how Abia is moving. So it's good to work with people that are forward thinking. And so again, any of your states, you're all here, who you have somebody that will call any of us to come and help sensitize, and that is the way we're going to do it. To answer, who was it that asked that question? Afiz, something, to grassroots. So let us know. Are you Lagosian?
Yes, yes.
No, we've done Lagos. Who is not Lagosian? Let's go somewhere else
Come to Ondo State.
we come to where?
Ondo State.
Oh, it's not a problem, honestly. If you make it happen, we will go.
Ondo has some plans already that they're doing. Yes, with the first lady, she's doing something.
I guess what she said is, having.
So as regards, thank you so much, Dr. Zipi. Thank you, Sharafi. As regards the influence or the effect of consultation over the years, I remember you asked that question. So as a practitioner and as a clinician having a clinic in Lagos, meeting those parents and the children that we consult with, oftentimes, of course, when they come there, they really have a little knowledge of what they're dealing with. Over the 3 years I've been part of this, I've seen that perhaps a parent or a child I saw the first year I joined, now I'm seeing them last year, you see a lot of improvement. You see that the moms have even gone ahead to get trained to work with their children, or they've even gone ahead to get a family member to be trained. And you see that the child is now practically getting therapy. This is where a case where the parent had no idea. And for that alone, that's such a big deal. That's such a big give for GTCU. Well, that's GTCU, right? Yeah. See, Gtco, not GTCU. That's such a big deal. Because, okay, like Dr. Otifi said something. She said, you expect them to come give for nothing. GTP is giving all this for nothing. And the onus is for us individual. It still boils down to individualism. It's a collective thing, yes, but the individual still has to know that I need to help myself. I need to then, for us, the public, we need to be more compassionate. We need to be more empathetic. And seeing the work, seeing the progress, it is apparent from a clinician's point of view that yes, we're making progress in this field. I'm very optimistic, I'm delusional that way, and I know that we are making progress in the right direction. Very soon we will blow. All right.
Thank you so much. The energy is high.